Sushant Sareen of ITSA, KC Singh, former Secretary Ministry of External Affairs, Seshadri Chari heads the Foreign Affairs Cell of the BJP. My first question is to Mr. G. Parthasarathy. Mr. Parthasarathy, you know, we are here violating the United Nations declarations. We have no business technically to be intervening in the internal or external affairs of any state. There's a judicial process in Maldives and we've got sucked into this. Why should we care? Why should we care what happens to Nasheed?
All right. Let's be very clear. This business of non-interference in internal affairs is theoretically fine. In practice, it does not happen. Secondly, with regard to Maldives, in 1998, they asked us to militarily intervene.
Yeah.
In the recent crisis, when a lawfully elected President Nasheed was removed from office and Wahid came in, we acted as guarantors on a request of both, and the guarantee was that be free and fair and inclusive elections. Now, let's come to President Wahid. Ever since that happened, he has behaved abominably towards us. Firstly, he goes to China, to Urumqi, and accuses us of interference in their internal affairs. Then he strikes a $5 billion deal with China. Then he throws out GMR arbitrarily without negotiations. If it was to be annulled, it could have been courteously done. And then finally he sends his defense minister, who is also the minister dealing with the GMR, to China and gets assurances.
No, but why should we bother?
The Islamic parties then.
Why should we?
Let me complete. We have to bother because we are looking at a string of pearls of bases around us by China. We can't pretend it's not happening. And secondly, we have to protect our economic interests. Finally, since they asked us to be guarantor at that point in time, and then we were followed by the Americans, then the British and everybody else, we certainly have a role to see that that guarantee is fulfilled. Yeah. I mean, are we a banana republic or a little power to be pushed around by Maldives that they can invite us when they want and
I get your point. I take your point. We should aggressively intervene and curtail Chinese involvement. But I don't know. I have actually got. Let's go to Malé. Masood Imad is media secretary to the Maldivian President Mohammad Wahid Hassan. Masood Imad, good evening. There's a very strong view emerging in the Indian diplomatic community that we have every business to interfere in what is happening in Maldives. Especially because, with all respect, your president, who you represent today, has not been very friendly with India, has been far too pro-China in his approach. Your response, please. Oops, I think the line is frozen there with the media secretary of the Maldivian president. Let's go back to him in some time. KC Singh, do you agree with Mr. Parthasarathy?
Well, I agree with some parts of it. I think as a regional power with aspirations to be a great power, you have to have power projection in your immediate periphery. And that is necessary for your maritime security. You've seen what happened in Mumbai, 26/11. The attack had come from the ocean. And here is a country of 330,000 with an extremely active right wing and Muslim Brotherhood entrenched there. Now you don't want it to become a citadel of China and Pakistan, or even worse, Al-Qaeda. Therefore, it is important that the first island chain, not only Maldives, but Maldives, Sri Lanka, Andamans, in any case we have, is your first line of defense. The first line of defense is not your coast. Otherwise, we'll have a repeat of 26/11 or worse. But problem is not, I'm not saying whether we became the guarantors or not. I think the problem is we've been behind the curve. We had to anticipate a problem and then deal with it in a manner that you're not seen as meddling in it. The greatest kind of power projection is when you're able to influence the decision making in a country without seeming to meddle in it. But you got yourself into a mess because you allowed a change to take place from Nasheed to Wahid. You sided with Wahid, showing indecent haste in getting Prime Minister to write a letter to him and recognizing that government. That was the time where you had a pressure point. You should have withheld that letter. The Americans were taking a call from you, and you should have negotiated whatever had to be negotiated
exactly
before recognizing Wahid.
Exactly.
But having sided with Wahid, now you go back to Nasheed. So you're falling between two stools.
We did that.
No, Nasheed sitting in your High Commission.
No,
tomorrow you have an election there. You know, you think he's going to win an election. He'll be seen as an Indian stooge.
I entirely agree that it was mishandled. I agree with KC in the initial stages, but you are stuck with the role of a guarantor and with developments in your neighborhood.
No, gentlemen, now, you know, when Nasheed resigned in February 2012, Mr. Chari, yes, question is to you. When he resigned, at that point of time, we said, if I'm not mistaken, that it is Maldives' internal matter. We chose not to intervene. Therefore, today we'll be told that you are hypocrites. You take one position in 2012 and now you are being over-aggressively protective of Nasheed. Why didn't you protect him 1 year back?
No, we didn't say it is the internal matter.
We said internal matter.
But
we said internal matter.
But the only mistake, the only mistake we made at that time, as KC Singh very rightly pointed out, was that we were too quick and without any recourse to getting back on this. We did not use our diplomatic channel, and we could have easily seen that the political wrong that was done could have been easily corrected. Number one. Number two, you know, we are not interfering in the internal matters of Maldives. It has come and fallen on our lap. We did not ask the former Prime Minister to come and sit in our office in the Indian Embassy. He walked into it. What can you do?
No, he can.
We cannot allow him to be a victim. We cannot allow him to be a victim of the witch hunt which is taking place there.
But it is not our business.
The Maldives situation is almost very serious. It is getting radicalized. All kinds of Islamic groups are finding home there, and the worst thing is, we are losing our foothold in the Indian Ocean region. We cannot compromise
but we have already lost
internal
it.
Security situation.
No, we have, Mr. Chari.
No, we have not lost it. Sorry. We cannot conduct international diplomacy with this viewpoint that we have already lost. We have not lost anything. We have still to gain.
No, the fact is, let me put it differently.
We will have to be very carefully calibrate the situation. And use all the diplomatic channels.
No, diplomacy, you know, this whole, I like this point of view which talks about aggressive, but that aggressive diplomacy happens by siding with those who are strong, not by backing the weak. Now, you have a man who's going to be seen, as some people say, as KC says, he's going to be seen as an Indian stooge. China has already, Sushant Singh, China has already got a...
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
One second.
Okay, Sushant Singh, please. Yes, Sushant.
No, first thing, asylum by definition is given to somebody who is being hounded for whatever reason. Asylum is technically not interference in another country's affairs. But having said that, the fact of the matter is that India, if it wants to play a role on the world stage, we have these pretensions that from the Straits of Malacca to the Gulf of Eden, that's our sphere of influence. And if somebody is going to trifle with us, somebody like Maldives or any other country, then I think shame on us, number one. Number two, both Mr. KC Singh and Mr. Parthasarathi are right. This situation was mishandled. But having said that, I think it is extremely important that anybody, India has got a very bad reputation in the neighborhood that this is a country which doesn't stick with people who are well disposed towards it and who are its friends. I remember a case in Pakistan where some people had approached a then leader of Pakistan with certain proposals and I told him that, look, there is so much India can do for you if you improve relations with India. He said, yes, I know all of that, but will India come to my assistance if I get into trouble? And the answer was, India did not come to his assistance when he got into trouble. This is the kind of reputation India has gained over the years, and it's about time that we change this reputation. As far as the people in Maldives thinking that, Nasheed will be seen as an Indian stooge, I think the jury is still out on that. He might lose one election.
Okay,
but
he's not an Indian stooge, Imad.
who's well disposed towards us and who remains a very popular man,
Fine.
then, the life of a country is long enough and we might see somebody like him come back. After all, we have had friendly people in Bangladesh come to power and we've really benefited from that. We've had friendly governments in Sri Lanka and we've really benefited from that.
No,
So just because some section or an Islamist section in Maldives is going to see somebody who's well disposed towards India as an Indian stooge does not necessarily mean that you do not stand with your friends.
No, you stand with your friends, but we have to look at it, G. Parthasarathy, from the point of view of China. China has such great relationship with...
Just a minute.
No, Mike, allow me one
Just the point I
small
made.
intervention, sir. My own limited point to you is China already East Africa, Seychelles, Mauritius, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Cambodia, Gwadar Port in Pakistan. They've really encircled us. They've been very, very successful in this whole policy. Now, if we now antagonize the existing government in Malé even more, and Nasheed does not sweep the election, then we are pushing Maldives, just as a point of view, we are pushing Maldives straight into the hands of the Chinese.
Let me put it this way. Wahid is a loser. He has no political base. He is acting as a front for Gayoom. The third candidate is Gayoom's daughter. So let's understand the politics there. We have dealt with Gayoom. We bailed him out in 1988 with military intervention. So let's be real. Wahid got too big for his boots. I mean, going to Urumqi, meeting the Chinese Prime Minister and abusing us on Chinese soil.
Okay, let's get
for saying that the Chinese are very well behaved and the Indians are not.
We have the representative of Muhammad Wahid.
I'm not saying interfere in the elections.
I get your point.
But since we intervened at their request and they agreed to elections, some responsibility we have for free and fair elections.
I think we must immediately dispatch our observers also and conduct a free and fair election in that country.
No, that can be done. No,
it has to be done immediately.
There are others also who are not too pleased with Wahid. Don't forget the Americans in the West came in after we acted as guarantors. Nobody was willing to negotiate.
Negotiate on behalf of
entirely that perhaps that was misplaced. To place to let down Nasheed and stand by Wahid at that point.
Muhammad Wahid Hassan's representative Masood Imad is joining us now on the phone line from Malé. I'm sorry about the video link, Mr. Imad. It's not very good, but many of our panelists here in our Times Now studio seem to believe, with all respect, that His Excellency Muhammad Wahid Hassan actually exceeded his limits. He was very anti-India in his approach. Masood Imad, is Muhammad Wahid anti-India in his approach? And is that one of the reasons why this situation has come to such a pass?
Well, let me tell you something. I've been listening to the conversation that was going on all the time, and I've been making some observations myself. I think the remarks that you're making is very bad and is incorrect. Dr. Wahid has been very pro-India and has not involved in China. Some of the arguments that you all have been raising there are based about Chinese and...
Just a minute. I want to contradict that. I want to contradict that. Your president at Urumqi praised China and pointing to India said, unlike other powers, big powers in our neighborhood, China does not interfere in our internal affairs. Whom are you trying to fool?
China does not interfere with within our internal affairs. Absolutely. China only has...
You go and accuse... So you go and accuse us in China?
No, we are not accusing India. We are not accusing India.
Oh, come on.
Nobody accused India. I'm sorry.
Mr. Masood will know better.
I heard somebody say that...
I have a question.
Yeah, let Mr. Shadri Chari, 1 minute, say Shadri Chari, let Mr. Masood Imad put his point of view. Mr. Masood Imad, the head of the Foreign Affairs Cell of the BJP, Shadri Chari, would also like to put a question to you. But first, before that, Mr. Chari, let Mr. Masood Imad come in because we lost the video line with him and he's been listening on to this conversation. Clearly, he represents a point of view which feels that, India is misplaced in looking upon the present government in Maldives as anti-India. Let him put his point of view and then I'm coming to you, sir. Yes, Mr. Imad.
Yeah, look, I don't think that's proper to say that the present government is anti-India. We are friends of India. We have maintained good relations. In fact, this afternoon, our foreign minister has spoken to your external affairs minister about the case that is going on here in Male of Mr. Nasheed entering your High Commission and not coming out of that. As the executive branch of the government, we want to stay clear out of it because this is a judicial matter. Mr. Nasheed is wanted by the court for having, during his term in office as president, having kidnapped a judge, ordered the kidnapping of a judge, and taking him away to an undisclosed location. The case was filed in the courts during his tenure of office, not during the tenure of President Wahid. Now, the case is running. He has been summoned once to court. He absconded, and the police was given an order by the court to bring him to justice. And the police did that. And this is the second time that he has been called in by the court for a hearing. He absconds it, and the normal procedure in the judiciary is that they will then ask the police to bring him in. And this time he walks into the embassy. So with due respect, you know, the warrant for him to be brought into the court was valid until only 4 o'clock yesterday in the evening. After that,
Mr. Imad, this is Arnab Goswami. I understand what you are saying. Your point of view is that this is a judicial process, has nothing to do with the executive. And nothing to do with the executive. I get your point of view. However, as you can understand, the sensitivity in India is that despite our close relationship in the past with Male, there is a great sensitivity about what China wants to do. You know, there are reports of China building if I'm not mistaken, a naval submarine base in Marau, the island of Maldives.
No, it's absolutely nonsense. You know, I mean, it's absolutely nonsense. It's not correct. There's no naval base here. We don't have any military connections, military relations with China. Come on. We have relations with India. We do joint military exercises with India in this region, in the Maldives, with Sri Lanka, India and Maldives together.
So I
understand that there is a military exercise done by Indian military, Indian Navy and the Maldives and all those things. There is nothing to this effect with China.
So
this accusation about Maldives having military relations with China is absolutely not correct.
So
please don't take us on this.
No, Mr. Imad, I'm only putting across what came in the media. This is not my accusation against you at all.
No, that's just a minute. Arnab, if they have no military connections with China, why did the Chinese defense minister visit Maldives and shortly thereafter the Maldives defense minister visit China? Did he go there to play ping pong or what?
You know, the defense minister of the United States is also as free as anybody. Come visit us and give us an invitation, and our defense minister could visit there. Our defense minister has asked the Indian government for an invitation to visit India. He has in fact done this several times. Our president made it his business to make India the first country that he would visit outside after assuming office. And he did it exactly like that.
Yeah, Mr. Imad, you know, the reason we are having this discussion here on Times Now, which is not with an intention, let me say, to, add fire to the relationship between Male and India, but the representatives on the Times Now panel are extremely senior journalists, and this discussion, I am sure, will eventually go a long way in resolving the situation. Mr. Seshadri Chari had an observation to make to you, Mr. Masood Imad. Yes, Mr. Chari.
You know, I can agree that, I can understand that the Maldivian president did go to China. He could have gone to some other place like Beijing or wherever it was possible for him, or he could have insisted on the space. The problem that India is worried about is the province of Urumqi, which is also turning out to be the hotbed of Islamic revivalism and Islamic radicalism in that country. Even Chinese are worried about it. And now this is where I am worried that Chinese could be strategically involving some of their unwanted non-state actor groups in Maldives. And because Maldives took extreme interest in China, the Americans are also now interested in this area, and thereby the biggest error that you have committed, an act of omission and commission, is bringing the entire Indian Ocean region, making it an open play area for the international agencies.
Well, okay, let's get Mr. Imad to respond. Mr. Imad, you heard that?
Yeah, I heard what he said. No, I would like to classify that as splitting hairs and trying to swallow cows. You know, I mean, it's absolutely misleading and misguiding. I hope, God, you know, that you don't do this again and again and again and mislead the Indian people. Now, we have only economic relations with in China as of now. The Chinese government assisting economically in infrastructure development, and so we maintain that relation. We have a better relationship with militarily and economically with India. India, we have expressly said, is our closest neighbor and is the big brother. So there is no ifs, ands, or buts about this thing. It remains true, even in Dr. Wahid's administration.
Yeah, but you know, what the Chinese want to do is that they want to develop these two islands, which is called, I think one is called Ihavandhu and the other is called Marandhu Islands, with transshipment ports, among other things, as well as reports go, grabbing a piece of action in the development of the second international airport. So the whole question has been that with the deteriorating relationship because of the GMR company Rao, Maldives has got an entry point. KC Singh, you know, we need to resolve this eventually, right? We too need to resolve this. This cannot be a prolonged diplomatic standoff. Sure. I mean, I'm sure Mr. Masood Imad and his president don't want that, neither do we. How do we resolve this eventually without letting the Chinese use the situation for their advantage?
We extended our arms to the Indian government. We have been very nice with the Indian government. We have not refused the Indian government, and we have seen reciprocity in the Indian reaction, except for when it comes to Mr. Nasheed. When it comes to this particular incident, of Mr. Nasheed walking into your embassy is nothing to do with us. He's a free man in this country. He has friends in the embassy. He's sitting down in the embassy talking to his friends.
Mr. Imad, may I come in?
It is not an issue for us.
Yeah, Mr. Imad, KC Singh,
Mr.
former
Imad.
Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, wants to make a point to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me begin with Mr. Imad. Mr. Imad, you are not recognizing that India was in fact what we are calling at this end very hasty in recognizing the unseemly transfer which took place when power was passed on to your president. Now, instead of recognizing that India did not intervene at that stage, our view is we should not have recognized Mr. Wahid at that point and negotiated a better transition to the elections at that stage. Having missed that point, your president then goes along and utilizes his position after, of course, visiting India to curry favor with China. Now, you have to understand the sensitivity of India.
You're wrong.
You live in the shadow of India.
No, I detest it.
You are next door neighbor to us. We can or not.
Now, Mr. Imad says, Mr. Imad disagrees.
So you have to
KC
show
Singh.
sensitivity.
No, Mr. Imad, who's representing the Maldivian president on Newshour, disagrees. Mr. Imad, go ahead, please.
Mr. Imad, let me finish.
I think he's making a wrong impression on the whole thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Wahid has not used... This president has
You're
not
even
used
listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying we recognize... You think we should have recognized the president the next morning when you muscled the previous president out? It was not an orderly change, as Mr. Nasheed very clearly pointed out later.
The transfer of power was constitutional, and the transfer of power was absolutely constitutional. I will ask you a question. Do you know how the transfer of
What is constitutional? Why did Mr. Nasheed start complaining the next day that he was muscled out?
Listen, when the president resigns, in front of the camera...
You have to address this problem. This is a problem, an internal problem. You cannot have an overnight cloak and dagger change of presidency. You should have had the change by an open election in your legislature and then done it, not force him out of office.
Without allowing me to talk. And I can start talking the same thing.
Because you were talking all along.
Mr. KC Singh, allow Mr. Imad to complete it.
When everybody talks.
Now,
let's one of us talk.
No, but
okay, 1 minute, gentlemen. Mr. Imad, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Actually, Mr. Imad,
one person talk?
No, I understand. Mr. Imad, Mr. Imad, this is Arnab again. There are actually 4 panelists here, so you know there are 4 of them, and there is one of you. I think this is a reason why we are going up and down. But I want everyone to have his point of view, including you, Mr. Imad. Let me assure you.
I want to make something very clear to the gentleman who was talking just now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The transfer of power was constitutional. It was recognized by the Chief Justice of this country. Who is more higher than the Chief Justice?
In the middle of the night.
To the vice president of this country, and now who is the sitting president? So it was not a coup. The president
Yes, but the
who
other
resigned
person,
said in
the other
public
person
that he
started
is
complaining.
resigning. There's a letter.
The other person
He
started
wrote
complaining.
to the parliament, to
One
the speaker of the parliament, that he was resigning. How could you call it a coup?
Well, you know, let's Mr. Imad, can we agree to disagree on that point? You can call it a coup. Some people call it a police mutiny, overnight protest plus police mutiny. It was clearly not a normal transfer of power. But I don't want to go back. I want to go forward, Mr. Imad.
Yes, we should go forward.
Your
Absolutely,
government
we should go
too.
forward.
Your government too, and His Excellency, your
may I come in
president.
now, Arnab, on that
You know
point?
what? Your president too is completely aware, sir, that you cannot have in the embassy of India your former president locked up, and it's quite clear that you know, the government of India is not just letting Mr. Nasheed walk out because it's concerned about his security. Mr. Imad, 1 minute. I want to get in one more voice. I'm coming back to you.
I can assure you and the public in India that Mr. Nasheed is a free man. He is staying inside the embassy out of his own choice. There is no arrest warrant issued by any court in this country to arrest Mr. Nasheed, and there will be no policeman in this country who will arrest Mr. Nasheed. Even if Mr. Nasheed crosses the road to the hotel in front of the embassy and have a cup of coffee, there is no problem.
You will arrest him the moment he goes out. There were 200 policemen, I'm told.
The order to arrest has ceased validity effective 4 o'clock yesterday.
Okay, 1 minute. Mr. Imad, so I want to get Sushant Sareen back in. Seshadri Chari coming to you right after that. Yes, Mr. Sushant Sareen is making a point to you. Go ahead.
I have 2 or 3 short points to make. The first, you know, when Mr. Imad talks about the Chinese just being involved in infrastructure development, do you know how the Gwadar port started? It was just an infrastructure project which the Chinese were starting. And now we know what has happened with the Gwadar port. You know, the Chinese involvement in Maldives is a very serious cause for concern, number one. Number two, Mr. Wahid and the rest of this bunch, their links with Islamic radical groups like the LET, which have started forming some kind of a base, are known to have formed bases inside Maldives, is a known fact, and they have been hobnobbing with these guys. They have been pandering to the Islamist groups inside Maldives. Finally, I think he's being disingenuous when he talks about this great and very fair judicial system. It is nothing but a kangaroo court, which is hounding a former president who has been illegally deposed, or at least deposed under duress. So for him to talk about as if it's all very hunky-dory, the man is free to go, you know, it's some kind of a great place where everybody is walking freely. We know before Mr. Nasheed came in, the kind of regime which existed in Malé, the kind of
okay, gentlemen, need to get a reaction from Masood Imad. Let's get a reaction from Mr. Imad.
I think you need to get a reaction from me. All right, let the gentleman who was talking this understand that all of the infrastructure development projects that are going on in Malé now was initiated during Mr. Gayoom's time, none during Dr. Wahid's time. All right, that said, Mr. Nasheed is being tried not by a kangaroo court, by a court that has been authorized, approved and sanctioned by the Supreme Court of this country. Having said that, Mr. Nasheed is not being tried for a vindictive case. He is being tried for having ordered the kidnapping of a sitting judge while he was in office.
Reminds me of Justice
in your
Iftikhar
country,
Chowdhury in
the Prime
Pakistan.
If in your country, if a Prime Minister from India orders a sitting judge to be kidnapped and taken into some kind of isolated area, what would his fate be?
Seshadri Chari.
Try that?
I want Seshadri Chari to respond to that.
I want you to understand that there is a law in this country, there is a constitution, and we follow the law.
Now,
Yeah, I take your point. Seshadri Chari wants to respond to your question.
Follow the law, we follow
now
the
the
law.
problem, I think the problem with countries like Maldives, I have got all respect and regard for the present president. We have nothing against him. But we should see the track record ever since he became the president. Maldives have been slowly slipping into a kind of radical elements have been taking over. The police is getting radicalized. The small army which you have is getting radicalized. Some of the most important valuable monuments have been destroyed. And there is some sort of a cultural police which is acting there. There are a lot of problems. And this has hurt not only the Indian interest, but it has hurt your own territorial interest also. It has also hurt your
but it is still
income
their internal
from
problem.
tourism.
But it is
So
still,
it's
still
a serious matter.
No, it is. We can
but
express
we are not
concern
worried.
about
We are
it.
not worried. Wait,
No,
wait,
we
wait,
can
wait,
express
wait,
concern,
wait.
but it is
we
their
are not
problem.
worried. We are not worried as long as it is their problem. But it does not remain only their problem, because any such activity in the Indian Ocean region
Okay, gentlemen, I have a couple of
our
minutes.
problem.
I have a couple of minutes. I'll allow Mr. Masood Imad to respond.
Arunabh, one last point from me.
I would appreciate, if you allow me to respond to this. Since this government, Dr. Wahid's government, took office on the 7th of February 2012, there has not been a single politically motivated arrest in this country. All right. The information that you have that the police is radicalized and is going on the rampage, that's all wrong. Okay. Yes, there was an incident where some radical elements broke into the museum and caused some damages. We are concerned about these things.
Yeah,
We're trying to correct. We didn't inherit a very proper, a proper government. We have our problems. We're trying to address these problems. We are seeking the help and the assistance of everybody around neighbor Sri Lanka, India, what have you, to solve the problems that we have.
Okay, Mr. Parthasarathy wants to make one last point to you. This is an interesting debate. I will continue this.
And the story about radicalization. Look, there is no radicalization in this country. I can assure you this.
Okay, Mr. Parthasarathy, one last point.
Arunabh, one last point from me. It is for the people of Maldives to decide whom they elect. But when we were asked to come in during the crisis, we were assured that there would be inclusive elections when the elections are held and nobody would be excluded. What is happening is a concerted attempt to see that Mr. Nasheed, who went by our word, is being excluded. All that we are saying is work it out between yourselves, have an inclusive elections, run your democracy. We are not interested. Unlike the Chinese, we are not a communist party.
Gentlemen, I'd like to say at this stage, this discussion...
Gentlemen, let me respond to this. Yeah, let me respond to this. Mr. Nasheed is not being excluded from attending any or registering for an election. If he is legally capable of, well, he is most welcome.
Well, he has some problems. Let me put it. That's an understatement, Mr. Imad. Mr. Imad, unfortunately, only for want of time, I complete this.
This is a case that originated when he was still in presidency.
We take this discussion forward tomorrow.
That's nothing to do with this presidency.
Mr. Imad, the best thing will be if tomorrow, we can have both His Excellency, your President, and Nasheed both on times now. We take this discussion forward.
Listen, I'm very sorry to tell you that we want to get engaged in. This is a matter for the judiciary, and I volunteered to do this just out of courtesy.
Thank you very much.
Respect to the Indian public.
Thank you very much.
That's about all.
Your voice does go across to a large number of Indians on this program. Mr. Imad, thank you very much. To all our representatives and panelists tonight, Sushant Sareen, KC Singh, Seshadri Chari, even G. Parthasarathy. Let's see what happens in Malé. Thank you very much indeed.